We begin by looking at a scripture, Psalm 8, verses 3 and 4. David said, "When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have ordained, what is man that you are mindful of him, and the son of man that you visit him?" Just asking the question, when I look around at everything in the heavens, compared to that, what am I? Well, we've been talking about the God that we worship, and especially God as a designer, what he designed for his creation, what he made for us to look at. We looked at these lessons all came from the book of Job. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but we've been talking about this for 3 weeks now. And God had some questions for Job after Job and his friends were trying to figure it all out about life and why Job was suffering as he did. None of them were right. And finally, God intervened. And he said to Job, "Who is this who darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Who do you guys think you are, saying stuff and you don't even know a thing? You don't know what you're talking about. Now prepare yourself like a man, and I will question you, and you shall answer me." And then he says, "Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth?" And then he spends 2 chapters talking about all the things that he did in his creation. For the last 3 weeks, we've been talking about incredible water. Who would have ever thought somebody would preach 3 lessons on water? But water is so amazing. We've looked at that, and I'm not going to talk about it. For the last 3 weeks, we've been talking about it. Today, we're going to shift gears a little bit, and we are going to talk about they only come out at night. The things that you see in the heavens. Psalm 19 says, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork. Day unto day utters speech, and night unto night reveals knowledge." You can look up in the heavens and you don't hear a thing, do you? What's he talking about? Day unto day they utter speech, and night after night reveals knowledge. Well, they don't have to say anything. If I look at Sue's face sometimes, she doesn't have to say a word, and I know what's going on. Well, when you look up at those heavens, that is God talking to you, uttering speech, and what they're doing is showing how glorious God is. The heavens declare the glory of God. That is a picture of a nebula. We're going to be talking about that in a little while. Just one little part of the heavens up there, how glorious just that one little thing is, one dot in the sky. But we already just read Psalm 8. "Lord, our Lord, how excellent is your name in all the earth, who set your glory above the heavens. When I consider the heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon, the stars, which you have set in place, what is man that you are mindful of him, the son of man that you visit him?" So the first thing he mentions as he talks about the heavens is the moon. So that's the first thing we're going to talk about is the moon. What about the moon? Well, here's pictures of the moon in different ways. Some of them are zoomed in to make the moon look way bigger than it actually is, but it shows beautiful detail, and it's an awesome picture. One shows the moon starting to be eclipsed by the Earth shadow, and all these different things about the moon. But the moon reflects the glory of the sun. If there wasn't a sun up there, you would see a black spot in the sky, or nothing at all. You might not even see it. The only thing that you see of the moon is what light reflects off of it from the sun, which is 93 million miles away. Can you imagine the flashlight that it would take? Well, that's the flashlight that's in the sky. the light that we see from the sun is only, I don't know what the fraction is, it's 1/1000th of the light that the sun shines. We just see that face. It goes out in all directions, up, down, all the sides, and goes and never hits us. Just the part that hits us is incredible. That light is reflected at night by the moon. So even at night, the sun is giving us light. And we can talk about the sun in just a bit. But we'll even talk about that 93 million miles business in a little while as well. But one interesting part about the moon is that the sun is eclipsed by the moon. This little thing in the sky compared to the sun, the moon at times blocks out the light from the sun. The moon is exactly the right size compared to the sun, so that when it gets in front of the sun, as we look at it, it covers the whole disk except for the corona that you see around there. Without that, we wouldn't see the full glory of the sun. You don't see that aura that's around the sun. You don't see that except for during an eclipse, but it's always there. But the moon helps us to see the glory of God. That is God's glory. And if you've ever seen a full solar eclipse, you can't help but just want to get down on your knees and thank God for his power and his creation. It's an awesome thing. The moon allows us to see the sun's glory. Well, in this last week, we've seen some beautiful pictures that were taken by astronauts who were on a trip to and around the moon. Excuse me. This photo was taken last week from the manned Artemis, the manned spacecraft. On board that spacecraft was a member of the Lord's Church. And he had some things to say, which are in our bulletin this morning. But as he looked at that and saw the emptiness of space around the earth, you look out there, and it's just blackness. The blackness of space out there, this little thing hanging in the sky, so small compared to space. It just declares the glory of God. This picture is zoomed in a bit so the earth looks bigger than it should look compared to the moon, but it just shows the detail. Can you imagine being up there and seeing that, the glory of God reflected off of the sun from 93 million miles away? This also was taken last week from the Artemis. The moon is just the right size and mass in order to accomplish the things that we've been talking about. Last week, we talked about the tides, how the moon affects the tides. It's just the right size, just the right weight, the mass of it. It's just the right distance from the Earth. It has just the right orbit speed as it goes around the Earth to cause the tides to go twice a day and shift just a little bit every month as it goes around, so that it's never exactly the same. That's why they have these tide charts, because it's different all the time. Kind of regular, but kind of different as well. But just think about what we talked about last week. If the moon was just a little bit farther away, the tides would be weak and not do what they do. If it was just a little bit closer, the tides could pull all the water over the earth every single time, twice a day, the earth covered with water. It's just the right mass, just the right distance from the earth to accomplish those purposes. And also it's just the right size when it goes up against in front of the sun for you to be able to see the glory of God. All those things are not accidental. All those things God designed and put in place so that we can live comfortably here on this earth and see the glory of God. Well, part of the what we see of the glory of God comes from the sun. It's the most obvious thing that shines so bright in the sky. I meant to look it up, uh, but before I say this, the sun really is the star of our show, and literally, it is the star. It just hit me real hard this week as I was contemplating it. That's a star we see up there. You look out in the heavens and see all those stars. Well, that sun is one of them. It just gives me the shivers when I think about there's a star right close to us. When I say close, that's 93 million miles, but compared to all the rest of them, it's close. But this star that's out there that we call the sun, it is by far the brightest object in our universe. And when I say ours, I mean our surroundings. When we look around us, there is no brighter thing that we can look at than the sun when it comes around. I meant to look it up. I forgot to do it. I wanted to look up. I don't know how long it takes. So if you look at the sun, how long it takes before you go blind. But it's not a long time. It's not more than minutes. Uh, I mean, you can damage it just in a few seconds, but it is so bright, even at 93 million miles away, that it could blind you. That is an awesome brightness. That is the brightness of God. To think that God created this one and all the other stars, what his glory must be, it's amazing. This sun that we have up in the sky, it lights us and it heats our world. It's everything. Without the sun, it would be a dark place. Without the sun, it would be a cold place. We're going to be talking about those things in a minute. But it does this. It lights and heats from 93 million miles away. Think about this. If the Earth was the size of a quarter, if you had a quarter here, the Earth was the size of a quarter, the sun would be a half a mile away. It would be uh, somewhere close to where the warehouses are down the street there. The sun would be there, and it would be 9 feet tall down there. But it would be, if you held a quarter up, it'd be the same size a half a mile away. That gives us a kind of a comparison of the size and the distance between the two of them. Incredible to think about. The surface temperature of the sun is about 10,000 degrees. That's pretty warm. But that's nothing compared to the outer atmosphere. The atmosphere around the sun, like we have the sky, our sky is a different temperature than the surface of the earth. That same thing happens with the sun. Only with us, the sky gets colder. With the sun, the atmosphere is warmer. Atmosphere reaches into the millions of degrees of temperature. That's how hot it is. That's why from 93 million miles away, we can feel the heat of the sun on our face. That is so amazing. I don't know if you've ever sat around a campfire or not, but I don't know where you've been if you haven't. But how far away can you get from that campfire before you're not feeling much anymore? It isn't very far. And yet you can have a blazing fire. One time I was in California, and this factory or this company called Roar made aircraft parts of some sort. They had a magnesium fire, and that thing just blew and filled a whole big part of the sky. It was amazing, scary, but amazing. You could not feel any heat from it from where I was, even though it was so big and so huge, so hot. It has to be hot to ignite magnesium, and magnesium burns white hot. But you couldn't even feel the heat from that, a whole factory burning. But yet you can feel from 93 million miles. What must the sun be like? Let's think about it for a second. What would life be like? What would Earth be like without the sun? Well, without the sun, the Earth would be frozen solid on the surface. There would be not a piece of anything that wasn't hard as rock. It would all be frozen. The ocean would be frozen. The surface, all the clouds, there wouldn't be clouds because they would have frozen and fallen as snow. And so there'd be no nothing in the atmosphere. It would all be on the earth and it would all be frozen. And it would be a negative 400 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what it would be like here without it. How many of us would be here? Not a one of us. Life can't exist in those circumstances. The sun is an incredible thing. And we're going to see as we go through, I already see my time is getting shorter. I'm not going to be able to say all the things I want to say today, so I'm going to put part of them off to the next time. Speaking of the next time, just the intermission here for a second. For the next 2 weeks, we're going to have guest speakers. Nick Affolter is going to preach next Sunday. Then the next Sunday after that, uh, Julian Robinson is going to be preaching. My sister and brother-in-law from Tennessee are going to be here for those 2 weeks. And so I scheduled guest speakers so that I can take them around and see stuff. I don't, I spend a lot of time preparing these lessons and I don't want to shortchange uh, any of my lessons. So that's what's happening there. So please welcome my sister and brother-in-law when you see them next weekend. But anyway, half of this is going to have to be put off till the next week. But for right now, the sun, the sun, just like the moon, is just the right size and mass. So is the sun. Compared to many other stars, the sun is just a little tiny dot. It's just a little thing. It's not a dwarf uh, sun. It's not a dwarf star, but it is barely a medium one. But for us, it's just the right size and mass. It's just the right distance away from the Earth. Think about it. If the sun was closer to us, what would happen? We would get plenty warm. All the water would evaporate out of the oceans and stay up in the sky. We'd be fogged in, and we would be getting real hot. Be getting real hot. If it was farther away, what would happen? Well, you look at those planets that are farther away and they're frozen solid. That's what we would look like. It's just the right distance from us. The moon and the sun are both exactly the right distance from us. You think that's coincidence? Think that's an accident? Accidents like that don't happen. I don't. Scientists will tell you, oh, well, if given enough time, enough billions of years, this will happen. No, there's so many things that have to be just right. These are just two of them. But the odds of there being another one anywhere in the universe just like this are incredibly slim. And then you throw in the odds of life forming and all this, just coming out of just a pool of nothing. You add all those odds together, and you can't do anything but believe in God. There has to be a God, and it all screams design. God designed all this. All this doesn't happen and be just right and perfect, perfect masses and perfect distances and all that. It doesn't. It just doesn't happen. It's like you tear a clock apart and you put all the pieces in a bag and you shake them up. How long are you going to have to shake that thing before a clock appears? You can shake it all you want and it's never going to appear. Things like that, like this, just don't happen. Anyway, it's the right temperature also. If it was hotter, we'd get hotter. If it was colder, we'd get colder. Well, don't have to repeat all that stuff. Boy, there's a lot I still have left to talk about. Just to give you a little hint, we're going to be talking about, well, I'll give you a little uh, foretaste. In Job, God says, can you bind the cluster of the Pleiades or loose the belt of Orion? Can you bring out Mazzaroth in its season? The Mazzaroth is the constellations. That's a Hebrew word for constellation, like Orion and Pleiades are both constellations. So we're going to be talking about constellations. We're going to be talking about supernovas and let's see what else. Nebulas, various things that you find up in the sky. But we're also going to be talking about faith versus God. And is it really faith versus God? Faith doesn't go against God. I should have put science in there. Science versus God, or science versus faith. People today act like they're opposed to each other, but they're not. Science agrees perfectly with faith, agrees perfectly with God if you listen to the facts. If you just take facts, if you take all the theories in that science has to offer, that they keep changing every day of the week, something new comes up and they change their minds about stuff. If you just take the facts, it all agrees with what God tells us and what God screams at us from heaven and from the Bible. So we're gonna move from here. I got to find this next slide that I want to look at. Well, I'll just say this. Go back to Psalm chapter 8, verses 3 and 4. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have ordained, what is man that you're mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you visit him? Who am I? Well, as small as you are, as small as you feel, and after this next lesson, you're going to feel real small, but as small as we are, God cares about us. We just looked in Ecclesiastes this morning. For those who love God, for those who are do good and do righteous, God has you in his hands. He has your back. God cares about you, and he wants a loving relationship with you. Those of us who are Christians, we have that loving relationship. We can go to God anytime and ask, petition him, give him thanks as a father. What a relationship, a family, to have him be our father. He adopted us into his family. Well, the question I ask based on all this stuff is, where are you? Well, in a literal sense, oh, pardon me, I guess this must come up. Well, there's supposed to be a thing that comes up here, but well, apparently not. That I had an arrow that came down and pointed to where we are in the United States there, little dot on the earth. But what I really wanted to ask is, where are you with God? When you look up in the heavens, do you see God glory? And do you think, wow, what an awesome God you are. I want to have a relationship with you. I want to keep my relationship strong. Or do you think something else? Where are you with God? If you are not in relationship to God, if you don't have him for your father, you need to do it. All you have to do is say, Lord, I believe all the evidence that you've shown us in the heavens. And I believe what your Bible says, that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God, and that he did come to pay the price for my sins. I want to be in relationship with you. I want to be forgiven. So I want to be baptized into Christ to have my sins washed away and to be added to the Lord. There's no greater thing that can happen in your life than that to happen. And it's only a step away. If you're here and you haven't been baptized into Christ, you can do that this very day. As we stand and sing this song, just listen to the words.